Hi, friends, and welcome to the Shits and Gigs podcast, where the vibe is high, the humor gets raunchy, and things get spicy when we talk about food. I'm here with my friend Court. She is a client and friend of mine. She has lost 37 pounds and 16 inches working with me as a one-on-one health coach client. She has stood out to me because she's one of those people that had a lot of big barriers holding her back in her journey, and she's really done the work the last few months that we've worked together. Or has it almost been a year?
No.
No?
It was since like July.
Damn, yeah.
So feels like a lot longer.
Yeah, above average results. But what also makes her really special is that this girl travels minimum 2 times a month.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
So that, again, is like a huge barrier or boundary for a lot of people that they're struggling to navigate. So that's why I have her on tonight. We're going to go over maintaining a healthy lifestyle on the go, and she's going to give us our top travel tips that we've really kind of jointly have brainstormed together just throughout, kind of just trial and error, really.
Yeah, I was going to say you've been a huge influence on it because I think that some of the things I knew, but even just like partnering with you as like an accountability coach and a health coach has really helped come up with some more creative ideas and then follow through on them just from the accountability factor alone. And maintaining consistency.
Yeah, you've been crushing it, seriously, and it's been such an honor to work with you.
Oh, thanks. It's so fun.
Yeah, I really love what I do because a lot of my clients that really stick around and like do the work, they end up being such great friends, and I feel like that's where we're going, so it makes me feel
happy.
You've
really built a community with
Thank you.
Elevated Nutrition and all of the other work that you're doing. I love all your little adventures. So
Thanks.
It's been a great wild ride. It was a little bit of a slow start, and I wasn't traveling like right off the bat, but feel like we've like caught the groove, and now we're like really going.
Yeah, it's definitely become a lifestyle shift for you, and it makes me so happy because that's the ultimate goal, is not just losing the weight or like whatever your goal is, but learning those habits that's gonna give you that like long-term vitality.
Absolutely. That's been really huge for me because I've always been really big. Like, I've had different parts of my like life where I've been like where I want to be, and then other places maybe like I've been a little bit on the heavier side than I want to be, which is where I had gotten to when I reached out to you.
Yeah.
And the big thing for me is that I want to enjoy my life. So, like, I never want to be one of those people that, like, I'm going to cut sugar, I'm going to cut carbs. I love my wine.
Yes.
I love my snacks. I love my sweets.
Yeah.
And I'll never cut all of that. And so, I feel like you've really helped me find, like, a good balance.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at her. She's stunning. She, again, is down almost 40 pounds in a matter of months. And she is still enjoying all of these things. And, like, I think that's why we worked so well together, is because one of my biggest values that I try and instill as people is that you can still like live and you can still eat all of these delicious foods, that like healthy eating doesn't have to be boring and bland. And for me, one of the other big things that I try and instill is counting macros, at least to start.
That's been a game changer.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people are under eating, and then what they are eating is kind of unbalanced or just not ideal for their body type and their goals. So with counting the macros and everything, you can log things like wine and, a cheat meal or whatever, and eat that thing or drink that thing, and then just work your day around it to still achieve those goals.
Yeah, it's been a system that's really worked for me, and I've tried different things in the past. Like, I think I shared with you up front, like, I'd tried Weight Watchers, and that had always worked really well for me too. And, a lot of times I feel like some of the things that you're supposed to eat, and sometimes I would diet like on my own, but tracking the macros is such a good self-awareness for just like even the percentages, and that's something we've talked about too, is like even if I'm not hitting my numbers completely, looking at those percentages to make sure that at least that's balanced, and that has been such
honestly the percentage part, because I'm not a math buff by any means. When you kind of call that pattern for yourself, that was enlightening to me. So do you remember off the top of your head what you were trying to stay within for weight loss?
I think that for weight loss,
like at minimum, do you remember like
I think that the percentage for protein is around like 38%, and then carbs 36%.
Okay.
And fat is supposed to be around 29%.
Yeah.
And
That
so it's
seems
like,
right to me.
I knew if I couldn't necessarily eat all of my nutrients for the day, or maybe the reverse. Maybe I was eating more.
Yep.
I'd still try and stick within the percentages.
Yeah.
So that it was balanced properly.
Right. And you still had huge success, is what we found.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did tweak just personally on my own a little bit. I feel like I upped my protein a few percentages when I was a little bit of a slower track at first. And that definitely seemed to help.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously everyone knows their body best, and so it's kind of like making those little adjustments.
And I think that's, again, like a learning curve. Like, you just learn to trust, or like, not trust, learn how to like read your body and notice like when you're eating higher protein and like maybe minimal carbs and low fat or something, like my body feels really lean and I have a lot of energy or whatever. And then like if you maybe are heavy on your fats, like maybe you feel a little lethargic. Just like learn that stuff by tracking, and then also just being mindful of how you're feeling, not just like looking at the scale.
I think that for me in the beginning, I mean, with anything new, there's a learning curve there.
Right.
But it really felt like a lot of work. And I have to say, one thing I was proud about myself for was really committing to it. And even though it was a lot of work, it did become so much easier over time, like you had said. And you kind of learn like where some things will fall.
Yeah.
I think what was helpful for me is that when I started, which was intentional, it was
I think you were just a walk-in, right?
I just like found you online and then like reached out. But it was just like purely random.
Yep. Thanks, universe.
Right? Kind of like did a little like loose research. I think what really caught my eye is I was looking for local shake shops.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I fell in love with the frozen coffees that you
Oh,
have.
no way. Yeah,
And
they're
then
pretty
I was like
good.
perusing on the website. Because like I said, I'm a sweets person.
Yeah. We have a lot of good stuff.
But it was really intentional for when I started my health journey, because I knew that because I travel so much, the summer tends to be a little lighter for my travel. And so I knew if I could start when I was going to be home for a little bit of time, it would give me that ability to build some routine, which was huge for me. The routine still is. And it's hard when I'm traveling. We talk about this each time. Like, I'm still kind of
learn something new
building
every
that
trip.
comfortability.
Yeah.
But that was helpful because it was like 2 solid months of being able to just take baby steps and get consistent first before jumping into it. So now I feel like I'm really like in a good rhythm.
Yeah, you're
for
doing
when I'm traveling.
amazing. And I mean, you just went to Nashville for a few days and still lost weight, so that was pretty incredible.
I was shocked about that one.
win.
Like, you always are like, oh, I don't want to do it,
sure.
but I bit the bullet, and
Yeah.
it ended up being good.
Good. All right, we're gonna dive into our travel tips.
Perfect.
But first, let's do a little cheers. Tonight we're
Awesome.
drinking Fit Vine, which is an awesome low sugar alternative to wine, and I'm not a huge drinker, but I think it tastes pretty good. They have lights and reds, so
Yes. Well.
Cheers
to us, and cheers to progress, and cheers to you watching.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for watching. All right. First, I mean, we kind of just, I think the conversation said it itself. I was going to just say some of your remarkable client qualities
Oh, thank you.
are being coachable, committed, and consistent. And I look for those 3 C's in everybody, because being a new mom and like just an entrepreneur in general, it's very easy to spread yourself too thin. So I, especially with transitioning to being a mom, I like really had to be intentional with who I was pouring my time into. So like someone like you, or like there's maybe a handful of people that really dive in. Those are the people that I'm going to pour my energy into equally. You know what I mean? So thank you for being one of those people. And to just start off the convo, Court is the Director of Education and Events at L'Oreal. So that's her position, and it has her traveling quite often. Do you want to go over kind of like frequency for your job and or personal?
Yeah, absolutely. So for work, so I actually lived in New York City at one point, and I was the manager of national shows, and that was like wild
could imagine.
travel. And so actually pre-COVID, I had taken a remote position, moved back to Rhode Island, and the travel was going to be more of like an every other month type thing, and then of course completely stopped during COVID, but we've definitely ramped up and we're like in full swing. So I probably travel for work at this point like at least once a month. But it's been a crazy, wild start to this first year. I have been in about 5 or 6 different states at this point in the last
just
4 weeks.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
I've had 2 work trips in just the first month, and I have another couple coming up. So from a work perspective, it's definitely busy. I would say most of my trips are around like 2 to 3 days, but could be as much as 4 or 5.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the 2-day trips, 3-day trips that are the sweet spot.
Sweet spot for sure.
Definitely. But then from a personal perspective, I also love to travel, but I am actually originally from New Hampshire. And so all of my family live up there. And so I do a lot of local, regional commuting and traveling.
Yeah.
Whether it's for the weekend or an extended long weekend. And all my friends live in different states from having remote jobs.
You're always going somewhere.
So I'm always going somewhere. I think like every single weekend. Last year I probably, out of the 52 weeks, was traveling somewhere, whether it be local or jet setting.
Yeah.
At least like 35, 40
That's crazy.
of the weekends.
I don't know how you do it.
She
impresses me every week.
So I know we were talking about this a little bit during our last visit, but I've kind of now had the moment to practice some of my like travel habits in like different scenarios. It's like when I'm jet setting and traveling where I'm having to pack. But I've also had local trips that are like day trips.
Yeah.
And so there's different things that I've found work for different scenarios. But yeah, there's a lot of travel.
Yeah.
I think I have a flight trip every single month already planned this year, and a couple more on the docket that are pending scheduling.
Yeah, so make sure you get your notepad out and a pen and take some notes, because travel is no longer an excuse to not look your finest. So frequency that you do it for business and leisure quite often.
Yep.
So now are your top tips that we've discovered work best for, she's just living proof of it all. So we're going to give you her top little golden nuggets for how to stay on track with your healthy lifestyle on the go while traveling. And so the first one that we want to review with you guys is the pre-planning.
Yeah, I know we broke it down into like a few contributing factors that we'll go over, and they've all been really crucial.
Yeah.
But I think that the pre-planning is the one that it takes time, and it takes time to commit to it.
Yeah.
I'm always somebody that's like has a challenge with time, just in general.
Yeah.
Time management, time with work, travel takes time.
It's a big growth area for a lot of people, I think.
It really is.
Myself included.
I'm still a work in progress, and that's okay. But the pre-planning has really been it for me. And it's what has made me be successful over these past few months.
Yeah. And
we say pre-planning, but actually I think that it's really just the planning in general. So it's the planning of before, during, and after.
Yeah.
And so a couple of those things, like before I'm going on a trip, I will first try and it looks a little bit different, but I'll try and figure out, like, what do those days look like? What are they mapped out like? Am I going to be in a hotel where I have access to a refrigerator?
Yeah.
In most cases these days, which is really great, you'll have a refrigerator, a little mini fridge, and hot tip, if you don't, you can fib and call the front desk and tell them that you have a medical need for it. And hey, I think that a medical need is your health.
Yeah,
and
for
taking
sure.
care of yourself and eating healthy. So
absolutely,
it's not really
cheers to that.
It's not really a white lie,
Medical emergency, get yourself a fridge.
Exactly. So that's number one. Is just kind of like the lay of the land, if you will.
And just a quick note, we typically would do this like the week prior, like the check-in prior to her travel. So it's a good like week cushion to like figure it out.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I'll look at for my work trips, we usually have team dinners. And if I'm traveling for leisure, everyone's got to eat dinner, and lots of times you're dining out. And so I'll try, and this was actually a tip that you had shared, like, send me the menus.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful the first couple times. And so looking at the menus of where you plan on going for dinner, because dinner is usually going to be your most social moment.
Yeah.
Where you're going to be eating heavier.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at those menus and really playing, planning out, like, what can I have? What do I want to have?
Right.
You know, there's some menus where it's like, oh, okay, well, it's going to be the grilled salmon and the vegetables.
Yep.
I love pasta.
Yep.
So
pasta's your friend, people. Eat pasta.
I love pasta. So there's sometimes I look at that menu and I'm like, I'm going to treat myself and I'm going to have that pasta.
Yeah.
So it's really looking at the menus in advance and figuring out which days you're going to have which meals, because that really sets the groundwork of every other meal for the day.
Yeah.
So if I know that night I'm treating myself and I'm getting the pasta, then I can plan my meals around it for just as the same if I'm at home.
Right.
Just you have to be a little bit more intentional and planful when you're on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been really huge for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the pre-work and looking at that. And then I'm going to skip the during, because we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the planning of when you return. And I think that this is a big step that I definitely missed before.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do. But a lot of people, when you get back from travel, at least for myself, I want to like veg out on the couch. Like I land and I want to put on Netflix and probably snuggle up on the couch. Right.
Yeah, for a little bit.
But in those moments, it's very easy to then eat unhealthy or not have planned meals.
Like just really embrace that sluggish mentality. Yeah.
And so having the fridge pre-stocked for when I return.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's been really helpful.
Yeah,
and
it's a great tip.
It can be simple things. Those could be the nights where it's like some soup that you have frozen in the freezer.
Yeah.
But just making sure that you have a game plan for at least day 1 and day 2 when you come back. So it's not leaving that question mark.
Right.
And you don't have that mindset of, oh, well, when I get back, I'm going to go to the grocery store. Because for me,
it's not happening.
I can say it. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's ever happened.
Not happening.
Like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So
spend the extra $5, or is there to get it delivered? Is it like a big charge or no?
No, probably like $10 for me. The $10 is worth it. It's worth my convenience and it's worth my time.
Totally.
So just the planning in general, huge.
Yeah.
I will plan in advance my snacks that I can bring with me that are something that I have at home that are easily to travel with. So they're not perishable. And I will pre-pack those in little snack packs. The shakes have been hugely helpful for me. So I'll actually pre-mix the shakes in the little Ziplocs, like
so
the little
convenient.
skinny ones.
Yeah.
So then
they
you
won't
just have
question it for drugs,
these...
I promise.
They won't. If you put it in your carry-on, they might like open it and ask you, but we've come a long way.
Yeah.
And so that's really easy, just to make them pre-packed, throw them in the gallon Ziploc,
so easy.
and then just
I
throw
do
it in
that
your bag.
with shakes. I do that with the coffee. Don't go anywhere without my tea packs and my lift off.
Right. I'm like all the plastic bags.
All the plastic bags.
Right.
And then for the things that you aren't able to bring with you, we'll move on to our power moves for when you're in it. You Instacart things.
Yes. This has been such a game changer for me.
Use these apps to your advantage, people.
Right. I love that you can have an app for everything these days. It's not even just like food that you can get delivered. So
it's everything.
I did this my first like big travel trip for work. It was a 6-day trip, so it was definitely longer. I think
that was your longest trip that you had since we've been working together.
Yep. It was my longest one, and it may have been one of the first trips outside of like a day or two, like the regional trips that I did. And so this took a lot of pre-planning in advance. Meg and I met and talked about some like healthier options on the road that I could do, some ideas. And then I went on to Instacart, and I love that you can save your cart. Like, you don't have to, it doesn't get lost.
That's a great feature.
So
I don't really use it, but that's awesome.
I started building my basket of like my grocery order, and just adding, like, as I was thinking throughout the week and planning and looking at the menus, I did have the luxury of having a refrigerator, and luckily my conference was on site.
Nice.
So this one I didn't have to bring a lunch box, but that's another tip. Get a cute little lunch box, bring that with you.
Yeah.
And I placed an Instacart order. The delivery and the fees, like you're probably spending an extra $15, but again,
You're saving that from having to go out and eat.
Exactly.
You're doubling that probably.
Yeah, it's just like if you're home and eating out versus eating in. So
right.
It's like I kind of account for eating out for dinner.
Right.
And then having lunch, snacks, breakfast.
Yeah, for sure.
At the hotel.
Yeah. So smart. And you save so much money, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's really nice because they'll just drop it right off at the front desk.
That's awesome.
Some of them will deliver it to your room and just like pack it up.
Yeah.
But that's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I could build the cart out.
Yeah.
And when I landed, I was able to just like click order.
That's so convenient.
From the airport.
Wow.
So that by the time I got my bags, I got the hotel,
Power
it was already
moves,
there.
Write that one down.
Yep, it was like land, click,
yes.
order,
and
that was great.
Yeah, awesome. And then we kind of touched upon snack packs, like just pre-prepping those snacks to bring with you.
The like you mentioned, the protein coffee, the Herbalife protein coffee.
So good.
That's so great because I love my coffee every day.
Yeah.
But that is really good for if you are going to be traveling, but not near you have the fridge when you're staying there, but you might be out and about during the day or at a conference like I am often.
Right.
And that's really easy because they don't have to stay cold.
No, not at all.
So it's like I throw it in my backpack.
Yep.
And then just mix it up.
Yeah,
but
and they're so good.
Also the beverage mix.
Oh,
which I'm obsessed with.
Game changer. Have you tried it with kefir yet?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. I highly recommend. I like the wild berry protein beverage mix with either strawberry or blueberry.
Oh,
kefir. It's amazing. Just a good way to
I'm gonna have
boost
to write
it
down
even
these
further.
hot
Yes. Yes. Spicy hot tonight with the food comments.
Right?
And we already talked menu review. Definitely check out the restaurants and the menus ahead of time. That is a game changer. And then giving grace again. So talk about when you come home, how that mindset shift that you had to kind of navigate.
Yeah. Giving myself grace has been a journey in and of itself. Outside of health, giving myself grace, it's I've always been an all or nothing, and I've had a really hard time committing to a plan, whether it's health or not, because I feel like I need to do everything or nothing.
Yep.
And so what I've really had to adjust my mindset throughout this process is that I can have one meal and splurge and treat myself, but not let it ruin the entire day.
Right.
I don't need to let it ruin the entire weekend. I'm very social, and so before it's can't start my diet now because I've got social plans, and I was always shifting when I was going to start.
Yeah, that's a big excuse for a lot of people, and even for myself, there was a few years, even when I was a health coach, that I would be that all or nothing Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, I was loosey-goosey, and then you feel like shit until Wednesday.
Totally.
And then it's okay, what am I doing this for?
Right.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So then I set big boundaries around sweets, because that was one thing in particular that just destroyed my stomach, and then drinking was a big one for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not honestly a big drinker anymore. I just smoke marijuana sometimes.
Right.
Or all the time. But
it's all right.
It lets go of all the craziness, and you don't have that stomach ache after. But anyways, it's big to have I don't know, the mindset shift from all or nothing to just being all about doing things that make you feel good all the time.
Yep.
Versus and knowing you can treat yourself. Obviously on my birthday I'm gonna eat some cake or something, but I'm gonna know that I'm probably gonna have a stomach ache later, but that was worth it because it's my birthday. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just have to know the consequences and be
well, I told you. So Meg and I were talking about my last trip. She said I went to Nashville, and here I am. I'm going to tell you all. And I told her, I'm I don't tell a lot of people. I don't want people to judge me. But I hadn't been on vacation for a while, and I've been super stressed.
This girl was living it up.
I have been doing a great job with my health journey and really committed. Went to Nashville. In a real good groove. We got nervous. I got a little nervous about if I was going to be able to maintain it my first day there, I went to a moonshine distillery. And I was in bed at 7, which was great. I got great sleep, but I also blacked out. So, here I am, 36 years old. It's like, kind of was nice.
It's like your first time
I
at
really
the bar.
let loose. And I was like, how was your vacation? I'm like, it was really good.
Yeah.
I blacked out, which I haven't done in years. But I still lost a couple pounds. So, it was consistent. And,
right. Yeah, because you were mindful with the meals.
Right. Long story short, I was consistent with the meals and still enjoyed a couple cocktails, obviously. But giving myself grace has been, really imperative. And what I have found is in the during stage, when I'm there, if I go in with a plan that I have been very planful about, very intentional about, I might have all of my meals mapped out for the day, all of my snacks, and maybe I only stick to one of those meals. It's still better than if I went in with a plan.
Right.
With no plan.
Oh, yeah. With no
because
plan.
If I went in with no plan, it would just be all willy-nilly, eating whatever I want.
So uncomfortable. It just, feels yucky when it's like that. Yeah.
And so, that's been really great for me because I've just given myself the grace that, even if I put a plan together, if I don't stick to it, that's okay.
At least it's better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And knowing that that's not considered a failure.
Right.
But coming home is definitely an adjustment because you do get really lethargic. Right. You get that jet lag. I get really, really tired. Traveling does take a lot out of me. And so
imagine,
it's I've really had to give myself the grace of not having to jump fully back into it, even though I'm home. It's, you know what, maybe I don't need to go to the gym the first day back. Maybe I don't need to make myself home cooked meals every single day, but it's again having that plan of what that looks like. And giving myself grace that it's probably going to take me at least 24 to 48 hours to fall back into the swing of things.
Yeah, for me, the last couple months, I've been really giving myself a little more grace when it comes to exercise. That was something that was huge for me, pre-pregnancy. I just loved moving my body. So it was really hard to not have a routine with that right now. But I've been giving myself grace because, one thing I have control over is my steps. So I've chosen to just, really focus on trying to get at least 7,500 steps a day, which I don't get it every day. But at least I'm intentionally trying to get there. And I do find that I've elevated my steps, a decent average, over the, I would say, last month or so. But I, break out what I call moody moves. So, when I'm working or, Cam's playing on the floor and he can, play with himself for a second, I just, throw on some tunes and, go at it.
Love that.
So, yeah, and I actually looked into it this weekend because I was like, this makes me feel really good, so it's got to be something. And sure enough, it's called DMT, which is, dance movement therapy. So there has been, studies shown that, by moving your body in that way, it allows you to, connect to your body more. And I actually had done a Bath Bombs podcast about getting comfortable with your body and stuff. And I think when you're moving and, you're doing, I don't know, you're just, showing up for yourself in that way. You're maybe feeling things jiggle, that you typically don't want jiggling. And, or you're just genuinely, letting loose and, kind of, breaking all, the walls up for, 5 seconds or whatever. So if you're going to, twerk it in a bathroom stall or whatever, just throw on some tunes. I feel like a lot of office settings allow earbuds now.
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean, whether it's a positive podcast or some music, I highly recommend some DMT in your life.
Maybe that's why I was on another level in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was getting all my,
your
dance
DMT.
and movement therapy in, too.
Right.
It was really,
when was the last
such
time you
an
broke
experience.
it down? Probably a while.
It was so long, and I was really busting a move.
Yeah.
So I feel you. Do you
yeah.
have a go-to song that is your song that really puts you in the?
So I have this weird obsession with the album called The Highs by Mike Stud. He's a local artist that I randomly discovered. We went to one concert at the Lupo's building in Providence, and I don't know, it's just good vibes. The whole thing. I've listened to it almost every day for the last 2 years. But I'm trying to think of...
It's hard. There's, so many songs.
Yeah,
it's,
so many
hard
ones.
to think of
I
one.
did, actually, so I'm not typically a Meghan Trainor fan. Sorry, not that you're going to watch this. But
just in case.
To our dozens and dozens of fans. I did a reel recently to a Meghan Trainor song, and it's kind of a self-confidence, basis. So that one was a really good one. So just go on my page, Meg Davis Health Coach and look at my reels, and you'll know.
I'm gonna have to go look it up.
Yeah,
maybe we'll have to do like a dance party. At the
I love it. We're always dancing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to, so those are our power moves: the Instacart, the snack packs ahead of time. Yep. We mentioned all the supplements she used too, the protein coffee, the beverage mix, shakes on the go. Was there
the tea? I'll do the tea. Not that that's necessarily like fills a protein gap or anything, but it is good to start the day.
Yeah. Nice herbal-based energy.
And what I love is that those actually come in the packs.
Yeah, they're so easy.
Which, I mean,
couldn't be easier.
It couldn't. I can like scoop the other stuff, but it's like I'm scooping so many powders that it's like nice that those just come in like the little pre-packed like foil packet.
Yeah, the last year they finally got all the flavors in the packets, and it's been so convenient. Menu review, big one. Check out your menus ahead of time, and then giving yourself grace.
Yeah, for my snack packs, I'll also do like almonds.
Oh yeah, so easy.
Like little 100-calorie pack almonds, or I'm a big Trader Joe's fan, so they have like all different like flavor mixes.
Ooh, fun.
Like trail mix.
Yeah.
And I like those because again I have a sweet tooth, so I'll usually get the ones they have like raw cashews, almonds.
I love a cashew.
Me too. They have raw cashews, almonds, like dried cherries and little dark chocolate chips.
Yum.
So those are like great if you're feeling like you have a sweet tooth or that you're having a craving. So I usually I'll always pack those.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then beef sticks.
Beef sticks. Yeah, so let's move on to go-to travel faves as far as like food goes. Chopsticks. Yeah. Those don't come in beef, right? Those are alternative meats, or no?
No, those come in beef. So
they do?
Chomps, they have different like beef flavors, and then they also have a turkey.
Got it. I think I had always just gotten the turkey, so I wasn't sure.
Turkey's not my favorite. I mean, value-wise, obviously, it's a little less fat,
a little leaner, but it's really not that different.
It's not a huge difference.
Go for the beef.
A lot of people like the turkey, but I just find it's a little drier.
Yeah.
But I recently found a couple of the other like beef sticks that you can do. Mighty Sparks has chicken.
Ooh,
so like
if you don't
do beef, I really like the Mighty Sparks. Those values were really good.
Nice.
Because I find when I'm doing the Instacart orders, I've had to find a couple alternative options because they don't always have the same kind. And then recently I discovered the brand Vermont.
Oh yes,
so that's another one. They
They're
have a
good.
Turkey pepperoni stick.
Yeah, that one's good.
And that one's really good.
Yeah, love it.
Those are my variety of like different beef sticks. But those are good because they're on like you can throw them in your backpack.
Right, so easy.
They are pretty filling.
Yeah.
So those are definitely something that I have on hand all the time.
Yeah.
Keep a couple in the car.
Right, and out of that, although depending on the stick, so definitely check your values. Protein should be the highest macro in that item, and protein is more fulfilling because it's harder for your body to break down. Right. So, not saying carbs are necessarily a bad thing to snack on or like fats or whatever, but the protein is going to sustain you longer. So, say you have like a personal sized bag of popcorn, if you pair that with the beef stick, that combination is going to be way more powerful than just the popcorn. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's when like I've been traveling that the beverage mix has been so crucial.
Yeah, you just pair it with anything.
I can pair it with anything. It's like, you're thirsty, you need to drink something. And so that has been a really great protein like filler.
Good, I'm glad.
While I'm traveling. And then also if you do have access to a refrigerator is a string cheese.
Oh yeah,
string cheese is always like so easy. And that can sustain like being
you can
out
pair
for
it with like an
while.
apple or whatever, some grapes maybe.
Some of those fruits are really good.
Yeah.
Apples or oranges, anything that you can just, again, throw in your backpack that's not going to go bad or get mushy.
Yeah.
So those tend to be a staple on my Instacart order too.
Yeah, so easy. And then we have hummus and like the pretzels or nut thins.
Yep.
Good Thins is another brand that's really good. Pop chips.
The pop chips are really good. The Quest protein chips.
So good. Yeah, that's a really. I actually added those so
Did
fast.
you? Oh my gosh,
did.
that's so funny.
On the same level tonight. Perfect Bars, those are the peanut butter ones that you've been really liking,
Perfect
right?
Bars are like my
She has like a
jam
secret love
these
romance
days.
with these.
I really do. If anybody loves peanut butter, loves chocolate, like this is for you.
I don't know if you can be friends with us.
I know, right? Like if you do, I'm sorry for you. You're really missing out. But it's the snack size version. So they have full ones. I mean, that's like think it's 30 grams of protein, which is great, but it's also
but the fat might
very
also be
bulky.
high.
The fat's high.
Yeah.
So the little snack ones are like this big, maybe like 2.5, 3 inches.
Nice. Put it in your pocket?
Yeah, you can put it in your pocket. It's the perfect bar. That's what it's called. Really, it's just so perfect in so many ways.
Cheers to the perfect bar.
Right? Shout out to Perfect Bar if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, you should sponsor Shits and Gigs podcast.
But those are really great.
Yeah. We already did the Herbalife products. I came up with T-Pack is also another protein bar that I've been really loving is the Barbell brand.
Yep.
So good.
Where do you buy yours? Because those are another Trader Joe's staple.
Oh yeah, they do. I have gotten a handful of times Trader Joe's. I'm typically at Market Basket. They do not have them. So I think I've been getting them at CVS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can use those extra bucks.
Right? For the mile-long receipt.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's price point's pretty good.
Yeah.
So sometimes I know the bar type energy bars can be a little bit pricier at some of those like convenient places, but they have I think I have like 15 of them stocked up in my cupboard too.
So good.
But a barbell bar, I'm glad you added that because those are good things that you can just put in your backpack.
Yeah.
Robert Irvine has a bar too.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty good with the protein to carb macro values.
Okay.
They have a peanut butter chocolate flavor.
Shocked.
I'm sure you're surprised at this point that's
there's a
my
reason
favorite.
that there's always a peanut butter chocolate flavor.
Always. But they also have a mint chocolate flavor. So if you like a Girl Scout cookie, a Thin Mint, I mean it is that season.
Yeah.
That one's really good too.
I love it. And we also will have that available at Elevated as a shake if that's really your vibe. Or the Shamrock shake.
Okay,
you can get the little cherries
Mark
sometimes.
that for my order next week.
Sounds good. I mean, I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yeah.
Is there any other things that you wanted to share, or did you mention something with your therapy session?
Oh yeah, I was telling Meg that her and I had met and we were chatting about a couple different like of the key factors. So it was like the two top factors for me were the pre-planning and being intentional, but the last one was giving grace.
Yeah.
And I met with my therapist yesterday. And coincidentally, which was my weigh-in and my last check-in. Yeah. And she was like, I think you should start doing like a gratitude journal, just something simple so it doesn't feel like it's one more thing for you. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do that at night because I'm not a morning person. So I do a lot of thinking.
You gotta accept what you are, okay?
Exactly.
And then just work the habits into the time when you're thriving.
Yep. I'm a night owl. I call it my witching hour.
Oh my God. I'm not. I'm asleep on the couch like a potato at 8. Or actually, sorry, we're eating our dinner at 8, and then I'm asleep at 8:30.
No, I'm great. For one of my best friends moved out to California, and I'm like, this is perfect because like when you get to work, I'm like, I'm up to like midnight, so you and I can catch up.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so I was talking to my therapist, and she's like, I think that you should just start. Not only like gratitude journal, but writing down like at the end of the day. Doesn't have to be all of the things, but we talk about this each week in our like sessions, our accountability sessions. But like, what do I feel like I did good for the day, or maybe it was the week. It doesn't have to be that day, and then maybe like, what do I want to do better or improve upon? Yeah. And everything that I was thinking of last night really just had to. Like went back to giving myself grace, and it really linked to every single different area from personal stuff around like to-do lists around the house, but like the traveling and the making plans. And so it's really got this like interwoven theme of being planful, intentful, and giving grace. And it's funny because all of those are really not tangible things, right?
Can't buy it on the internet, people.
No, you can't.
Sorry, Amazon, don't got that one.
No, it's the only thing they don't have. So yeah, that's really been, I think, the factors that have made me so successful. Yeah. Throughout this journey, again, like I said, you've been a big part of that because you've really helped shift my mindset in a lot of those ways that has been challenging for me. And really come to a place where I feel like I have a good formula for success with my traveling. And we've talked about it, like I'm still navigating it and still
every
tweaking
trip's a new journey.
And each one is is getting better. One thing that I will share, and maybe we can end on this little hot tip, is for my for my local travel, what's been really helpful for me, aside from the snacks that are travelable, I don't even know if that's a word.
We'll make it a word. It's fine.
Is I get 2 shakes for myself. Yeah. So before I leave for the day, I'll make myself a shake, and then I'll grab my Stanley or my Yeti. Yeah. All the cups.
All the cups.
And
if you got free hands, you are doing something wrong.
Right? And I'll keep it just like in my cup holder.
Nice. So you pre-blend it?
I pre-blend it.
Nice.
And then put it in one of the millions of cups that can stay, below 50 below for the
your shake will stay
day.
There for days. Just kidding. Just eat it that day.
Yeah, eat it that day. You don't need to go in sour.
No.
And that's been really helpful from a local perspective for me.
Yeah, that's big, because for me, once you taste a blended Herbalife shake, you can't really go back to the shaker cup unless it's like desperate times.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know that I'm that desperate. I might just be hungry.
Right. At that point, I just go for the protein coffee personally. But
if I throw a couple ice cubes into like the Yeti or Stanley, although it keeps it like cold, the ice cubes kind of like bring the temperature down like even more. Okay. But that's been really helpful.
Awesome. So, I love it. Well, thanks again for coming on, and hopefully you guys enjoyed all those tips. I hope you're taking notes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Toodles.